My name is Maria, and I'm the developer advocate at botkube. In today's session, we'll be talking about Kubernetes troubleshooting demystified, and I'll be presenting your 5 best practices to level up your Kubernetes troubleshooting workflow. Just a little bit about me. My name is Maria, as I said before, and I'm a developer advocate at Kube Shop, and I work on the botkube project. I have a background in industrial systems engineering, and I've also been working in developer relations in software and engineering for the past few years. I also have a really cute dog named Malcolm. To say that the Kubernetes space is complex is an understatement. There's a steep learning curve, and on the left, you can see that there are lots of tools to learn. So here is the map of the CNCF landscape, and there are probably more tools that have been added since this picture has been created. But with Kubernetes, you have to know about container orchestration, you have to know about configuration management, deployments, and networking, all just to get your Kubernetes up and running. Additionally, troubleshooting is challenging, especially in this hybrid world that we're living in. Being able to communicate effectively with your teammates is more difficult than ever, especially when you have teams across different time zones with different levels of Kubernetes expertise, and just being able to share context is very difficult. So what is Kubernetes troubleshooting? So in short, Kubernetes troubleshooting is a process of identifying and resolving issues in a Kubernetes cluster. So this means solving problems related to deployment, networking challenges, resource allocation, and more in a timely manner. So here's an example of a Kubernetes troubleshooting scenario. This is the ohm killed error, and this occurs when there's excess memory and Kubernetes will automatically terminate their pods. So first, you need to identify the container or pod that was terminated. Secondly, you need to check memory usage of the container or pod. Then you have to look for any errors in the container or pod logs. Fourth, you need to update the container and pod image. And fifth, increase the memory limit for the container or the pod. So this is a 5-step process, and you might say, Maria, this is 5 steps. It's not that complicated. However, when you're finding the root cause of the issue, you have to go through multiple sub-steps in this 5-step process. So these 5 steps can take minutes or even hours or even days to solve if you don't have a efficient troubleshooting workflow. And it gets even more challenging when you add in multiple clusters. So in a large-scale production environment, it's very difficult to identify the root cause of the issue. So if one cluster is having issues, how can you tell what is going on with each cluster? So how can you identify and diagnose your problems when your problems are distributed across multiple systems? Additionally, with multiple clusters, you're going to have multiple tools that you use for your observability, your monitoring, and your resolution. And then being able to collaborate and assign responsibility just becomes more difficult the more complexity that you add in. So here are my 5 Kubernetes troubleshooting best practices. Number 1, you want to centralize your monitoring and observability. This means you want to put all of your information into one place where everybody can have a shared context and a source of truth to be able to act on the error. Second, you want to have proper incident response and collaboration. So what you need to do is have some sort of avenue to be able to have your incident response and collaboration in one place. So they're not in 2 separate channels, and you can have everything in one streamlined place. Third, you want to establish a feedback loop. So this means keeping track of all of your insights from previous incidents and errors, so you can have more insights on what's going on in your system. Fourth, you want to be able to streamline your command execution. So as you scale to avoid redundancy, you want to be able to make a single command across multiple clusters. And fifth, we want to be able to automate your observability and delivery process. So automation is key when it comes to efficiency. So what is botkube, and how does it help teams follow troubleshooting best practices? Botkube is an open source collaborative Kubernetes troubleshooting tool. This means you're able to monitor and troubleshoot your events in the same platform. So this means instead of having to screen share or hop on a meeting to solve an error, you're able to solve everything in your chosen platform. And today we'll be talking about how botkube works well with Microsoft Teams and Azure. And then with botkube, you're able to improve your developer experience because nowadays, if you're a developer working with Kubernetes, you're almost forced to be a Kubernetes expert just to get to know the status of your applications. But with botkube, you're able to get self-service access to your resources without, having to deal with the knowledge gap. And finally, because botkube can easily connect in with any of your communication platform tools, you're able to use botkube from a mobile device, meaning that you can use botkube on the go. So just a quick overview. botkube works with Slack, Microsoft Teams, Discord, and Mattermost. And currently, you can monitor your Kubernetes events via Kubernetes Events and Prometheus. And we also have more plugin system where we have more sources where you can link botkube to. Additionally, you can control your Kubernetes, so act on those events with kubectl and Helm. And secondly, you can automate your event responses with botkube's actions. And you can extend botkube to any source or executor via the plugin system I mentioned before. And via the botkube web-hosted app, you're able to audit your events and commands from all of your clusters. And in that web-hosted app, it's easier to manage your botkube installation and configuration for all of your clusters. So back to our best practices. So empowering observability. With botkube, and you see an example right here, you're able to receive your real-time updates in your communication platform. And you can get your changes and about your new resources or updates that happen to your system. And with botkube, it's very easy to create channels for and separate the information that you get. So for example, the front-end developer channel does not need to have all of the Kubernetes alerts that you get versus a platform engineering channel that should have all the access that they need to everything that's going on in the cluster. Secondly, incident response and collaboration. So as you can see this GIF, the team is reacting to an error that occurs, and they're able to run a command right in the communication platform that they're using. So you're able to not only receive alerts, but you're also getting context about what's happening. You get the logs of what you're doing. You're able to filter those logs. And you're also able just to have a history of events that is right in your communication platform of choice. And third, establishing a feedback loop. So this is an example of the audit log that you'll be able to access with the botkube web-hosted app. So you're able to get, insights about your team's performance and potential issues. So if you notice that certain, developers on your team are the ones who ran the last command before something goes down, you're able to get performance insights on what's going on with your team. And as an industrial engineer, I believe in continuous improvement, and you can't have a continuous improvement without having data to back it up. So this audit log is your source of truth to be able to make changes to improve your system. And next, we have streamlining command execution. So here you see the botkube. You're able to, change your namespace. You're able to change the cluster and be able to run commands across multiple clusters. So this allows, you to scale fairly easily and fairly quickly. And you're also able to give, non-Kubernetes experts access to the ability to run Kubernetes commands or Helm commands or any executor that you choose fairly easily and very quickly within the communication platform. And finally, you want to be able to streamline your automation and developer empowerment. So here's an example of an automation with botkube. So this automation runs automatically every time there's an error. So this automation is to run the kube control logs function. So instead of having to repeatedly write kubectl logs over and over again when you receive an error, botkube does that for you, and you're able to reduce the amount of time in your troubleshooting workflow. So this scales really well. So you're able to work with different tools across the cloud native landscape. So you can use this with Prometheus, you can use this with Argo CD, Flux CD, and many more. And you can reduce your time well in your troubleshooting workflow. So here is a new improved Kubernetes troubleshooting workflow with botkube. So with the automations in place and the alerting in place, you're able to reduce your 5-step process into a 2-step process. So as you know, with scale, this will scale really well. So imagine you being able to reduce your troubleshooting time by 30-40%, and then scaling that across all of your clusters that you work with. So this will, allow your teams to work more efficiently and quicker and be able to work on the more important stuff besides debugging errors. So in conclusion, a strategic approach to Kubernetes troubleshooting is vital for multi-cluster environments. And as we know, complexity and scale is becoming more and more important as we go on. So it's very important to, have a very calculated and targeted approach to Kubernetes troubleshooting and not just sort of have an ad hoc way of dealing with errors. And by following the best practices aligned that I've talked about before, you will be able to, take your Kubernetes troubleshooting to the next level. And finally, integrating solutions like botkube will be able to enhance your efficiency and reliability across all your Kubernetes clusters. So just quickly how to get started with botkube. It's very easy. You can either install botkube via the web-hosted app, or you can go to our GitHub and install the manual way in your cluster with Helm. And it's very easy to configure it to whatever you're working with via our web-hosted app. And I will show you how to get configured with botkube in Teams and AKS in a moment. So here is the demo.
The botkube dashboard. But first, you would just get here by just going to the botkube website, and then next you'd click sign in, get all your login information, etc., etc. So I'm just going to make a new instance. I would do this the same way that I would do all of my botkube instances. So here we're going to go to the official botkube Slack app, and this requires starting a free trial. So we have a 30-day free trial to be able to support multi-cluster management. And then after that, it's $25 per node per month. So here you would just connect your Slack workspace, click add to Slack. Then you would just select whatever Slack workspace you'd be working in. I have my own DevRel demo one, and I'm already connected, so I can just continue. I'll call this instance botkube demo production. Then next, since I already have this pre-configured, I'm going to call this botkube demo production. And because this is going to be just for my production, I'm going to put it in my production channel and my dev prod channel, which is going to host my cluster dedicated for production and my cluster dedicated to staging. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is to add botkube cloud to a channel, just an example. So click that, open Slack. Then I would go to integrations, add app, and then click on this. And then basically you're good to go. So now if I want to, I can add or, remove as many channels as I like. So for this purpose of this demo, I'm just going to be using Helm, kubectl, Kubernetes. So it's just the same standard process. And then I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Hopefully everybody can see that. And it's the same installation process that you would use for a single cluster. Just very copy and paste. All right. So let's hop into Slack and see what's happening. I was playing around with this earlier. All right, perfect. So we have botkube activated in our production channel and our dev prod channel.
So I'm just going to do a few botkube commands just so you can see botkube up and running in some real world scenarios. So first I always do the botkube ping just so I know that my botkube instance is up and running. Then I'm going to be running the help command, which will show you a guide of all of the commands and plugins that we work with and just give you just more detail of what's going on. So I'm going to find out our list of executors. So today we'll be working with Doctor, which is our ChatGPT plugin, Helm, and kubectl. So next we're going to run some simple kubectl functions in botkube. And I'm going to be using the Slack interactivity feature, which basically allows you to build out commands using buttons instead of having to manually type them out. So we're just going to run a quick get, and then we're going to do a get pods, just so we can see what's happening in our cluster. And you can add or remove functionalities like this in the botkube Cloud web hosted app. So if you want it to be read only, you can take this out. And you can see we have 3 pods going. So we have one that's failing. And then we're able to have our notification come in that there's an error. Then I can run a quick describe and see what else is going on. And then with this log that you get, you're able to also filter out the output, and filter out just what you want to see, because sometimes those logs can be hundreds of lines long. So it's really great to get more information. So then we have some more things coming in. So we have an ingress that was created. So we have an automation that I just inputted to have an automation where you do a describe every time you have a created resource. And then I'm just going to do a quick Helm list. So then I'll be able to see everything that's going on the Helm chart that I have. So I have just botkube on there right now. But if I had a more complex cluster, I'd be able to see more of what's going on. And then we're just going to see the Doctor plugin. So we had an ingress being created. What if I don't remember what an ingress is? And I'm just going to ask Doctor really quickly. And Doctor almost serves as having docs inside of your platform, so you don't have to navigate to another window. So it's just going to tell me what's a Kubernetes ingress. And I can be able to take that information and be able to act on that alert that I just got and that automation that I just got. So here's the demo. And thank you so much for joining my presentation. And right here, you can scan the QR code to get started with botkube. And thank you so much for having me. Bye.